Alright. Okay. 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 I just got my new book in. Oh, sheesh. Actually, I just stabbed right through the book. Oh, it's the normal one. Okay. Darn it. It told me that the other book was gonna arrive soon. But this is one of the ones I had. Thank God. It's an empty one. Since the other one didn't arrive, we have to make it. So I have to fill in the spaces, the mint spots where that's supposed to be. But yeah. Cool. That's not the book that I thought I was gonna get, but it's one of the ones I was. It's not the book that I thought was gonna get shipped today, but it's one of the books I had shipped. Okay, good. Alright, I was gonna watch this video called Scariest Disappearances. I ever covered the Yuba County 5. Alright.
She doesn't have a favorite.
Of course I do. It's Sarah.
Don't sugarcoat it, Rebel, with only 1 gram of sugar per pint.
Alright.
His parents also.
So our goal is to do this in this plot. Oh, we can finish this if we put our minds to it. I have like 4.5 hours before I have to go. Yes, I did toy around with the brand new llama or whatever, the freaking camel. I don't know biology.
That he would always keep it clean, and he was very careful to lock it, and made sure that his car was always in a safe condition. It was his prized possession. But whenever the police came to investigate the vehicle, all of the doors were unlocked, and the driver's side window was rolled down. Not a condition that someone who cared about their car would leave it in. Inside of the vehicle, things were as you would expect them. There were empty soda cans laying in the floor, candy wrappers.
No, you know, now thinking of it. So yeah, so basically, apparently, it's about these 5 kids, all with disabilities, just vanished, gone. Like no one knows where they are. No one. I don't know if they remember. I haven't heard it, but so far there's no bodies. There's no clues. It's just vanished, gone. So they go. This is their home, right? They go up north in California. They go to their home. However, when they came back, they went like this. They went in the complete different direction. So that's where everything's starting to get weird. Is that they just disappear. And even if they're disabled, you'd think if they got there successfully, they'd be able to make a rendezvous back to their first point that they started from. But they just disappear, and I don't know what happened to them. But today, I guess, hopefully we're going to find out.
Score of the UC Davis game on the back
I doubt it's good.
of Schurz, and that was laying in the car as well. So it seems that the boys were just enjoying a relaxing drive home when, for no apparent reason, they decided to go off-roading,
Just
drive
leave.
4,400 feet up a mountain into the snow, get the car stuck and do nothing about it before rolling down a window and leaving the car unlocked. And of course, the most disturbing part about all of this...
Here's what I think. So, going off of what they, like, you know, they rolled down the window. Here's what I think. I think that there was a person, and, like, they got stuck, right? And then a person drove along the mountain, and they rolled down their window for help. And then, I feel like maybe, as they rolled down their window, the guy took a gun, pointed it at the disabled kids, forced them to go out, and abducted them. That's what I think happened. I think it was a kidnapping so far.
Heard the boys. Because at this point, they've been gone for 3 days,
And-
they were nowhere to be found.
And I don't know if it is. I don't know if they had these cars back then, but I mean, with my Subaru, when the front door is unlocked, like, let's go. Like, when you unlock the front door, it'll lock the passenger side door, but not all the other doors. I wonder if you unlock one door, if, like, one of the passengers leaves, you know, if all the passengers got out, it probably would have triggered the internal lock, because when there's a locked door, you can open it on the inside and exit easily. Whereas if you're from the outside, of course, it's not possible.
That were to be found around the vehicle. If you remember, several of the boys avoided taking a jacket or putting on anything other than plain clothes. So why would you get up to a snow-capped mountain that there's no reason
And
for
just
you to drive
stop?
up in the first place,
No.
and then decide to
I've been to a mountain, and I've had insulation before, like a little bit. And I will tell you, it's Mount Spokane. Mount elevation is 5,800 feet. It is cold there. It's so cold, I had to take refuge in a little bathroom, like a public bathroom, just to keep cool. It is, like, it will chill you to the bone. Here's the thing, the air up there is cold, plus it is windy. So mountains are pretty cold.
vehicle and just walk out into the woods. Jack Madrugas even mentioned that Jack hated the cold and hated being outside. It was even a little bit chilly. So the police initially expected, well, maybe they got up here and ran out of gas, or maybe the engine had some kind of problem. So the police hotwired the vehicle, and sure enough, the engine starts up just fine, and they still had a quarter tank of gas. Of course, if nothing else, the discovery of the vehicle gave the search parties a general area. However, during the first day of the search, an ice storm hit. The snow was so intense that it nearly killed 2 of the search workers. One began to have a heart attack, and another began to experience severe stages of hypothermia. For the safety of the participants, the police called off the search party. This winter storm lasted for several days, and as you can imagine, made it hard to find clues about anything. If there were any traces of where the boys went around the vehicle, they were long gone after 3 days of snow. Of course, after the snow was over, they kept looking, but nothing could be found.
That
Tragically,
sucks.
this was the only definitive clue about the boys that was found for 4 months. Again, there were witnesses and testimonies at the time that we'll talk about in a minute, but as far as hard evidence, they had nothing to work with. All they knew is that it seems like something compelled these boys to drive up that mountain, get out of their vehicle,
But what?
walk off the earth. And the first sign as to what happened to Yuba County 5 would come on June the 4th of that year.
Oh
But
my
June
god, what is it with June the 4th? A tornado outbreak that had really weird tornado paths. Marvin Heemeyer destroys a shop. Dude, June the 4th is just something different, dude. Here's what I think. I think somebody with, like, negative intent found the kids, and they found that they were disabled. So therefore, maybe, like, what's it called? So the perpetrator probably got into a vehicle after finding them. Actually, let me back up here. I think that somebody found them at the game, and used weapons to say, hey, you're going to drive up here, and we're going to maybe follow you with this truck or a car or whatever. You're going to leave it there, and you're going to come with us, whatever. So they go up to the mountain, and where nobody will find them. They rob them and possibly abduct them and bring them back. I know it's probably a dumb theory, but hey, you gotta consider anything right now. I think this is an abduction because guys can barely even fend for themselves, let alone they can. It's like some people don't know common sense. Like one of the kids didn't know common sense. Like they would literally not get why you had to stop at a stop sign. So that's my theory, but let's see what happens.
A lot of the snow on top of the mountain had begun to melt. On this day, a group of motorcyclists were traveling up the mountain about 20 miles north of where the car had originally been found to check in on some of the Park Service trailers. The Plumas National Parks have various ranger stations that are grounded trailers set up at various points throughout the forest. These trailers are fully furnished and equipped with food and heating supplies to keep someone alive for more than a year. However, as mentioned, for about half of the year, these things are completely buried in snow. So these motorcyclists on June 4th were coming to check out the now uncovered trailer. As soon as those motorcyclists pulled up to the trailer on top of the mountain, they saw that one of the windows at the front of the trailer had been shattered, and an awful smell was coming from inside.
Oh,
While walking into the trailer, the motorcyclists
probably rotting flesh.
that scattered
I've heard
on the
rotting
outside
flesh has
of the
this
broken window
pungent,
were empty ration cans. Upon walking into the
disgusting smell. Like I've heard it's like burnt rubber. I've heard nothing good about the smell of rotting flesh. It's absolutely, it will destroy your nose. It's disgusting.
They see a pair of tennis shoes lying next to one
Uh-oh.
of the bedroom doors, and lying, wrapped in blankets, on top of one of the beds is a human body. They called it in, and the Park Service and the police came to search the area. The body that was found on top of the bed was in horrible condition. For one, it was found completely wrapped in blankets in an almost mummified state. The blankets were even wrapped around the body's head. When the blankets were removed, this body had no face, as it had completely rotten off.
Oh my God.
All around decrepit condition, they could tell that the feet were especially bad off. The socks and shoes had been removed, and it appeared that before death, the foot had become frostbit and gangrenous. So much so that the body was missing 5 toes. However, the one thing the police did recognize is the clothing of the body was the last known clothing of someone that they had been looking for. And as confirmed by the coroner's report and his wallet that was laying on the nightstand next to him, this was the body of Ted Weir. It seemed that at some point in the last several months, Ted wound up in that trailer and succumbed to injuries sustained out in the snow while lying on that bed. The cause of death was ruled to be a pulmonary edema that resulted from pneumonia. Now, this raises a lot of questions, so let's get the big ones out of the way first. Ted's body was found with the sheets wrapped around him in a condition that doesn't make sense for Ted to do it to.
Okay, time to punch some holes in my theory. Then what's the motive? Like, if they wanted to abduct them, why would they just leave them out in the middle of nowhere into a shelter? Like, that doesn't make sense. This is already getting weird. But why was the window lowered down? If the window was lowered down, this indicates that they were probably talking to somebody before they just left. And if the vehicle was in perfect condition and there was like nothing out of it, like there was nothing destroyed or damaged off it, then that must, and there's no signs of forced entry, then we can safely conclude that all the passengers in the vehicle consensually exited the vehicle. Like they just left, dipped. But again, why? I mean, they stayed there for maybe my theory, maybe they killed the battery in their car and they had to escape.
Like, wrapped along your torso, it's kind of hard to wrap your head in the same way. Not to mention that, remember the tennis shoes that were lying next to the door? Those weren't Ted's shoes. They were later identified as being Gary Mathias's shoes. Ted's shoes, or at least the ones that he was seen wearing the night of the disappearance, his brown leather boots, were nowhere to be found. Furthermore, the trailer wasn't the only structure at this location. Just outside of the trailer were 2 sheds containing containing survival implements. In one shed was a more than a year's supply of food, and in the other shed was various heating supplies, like blankets and torches. From the food shed, various ration packs were missing, which makes sense considering there were packages of rations strewn about inside of the trailer and from the outside broken window. However, not as many as you might think. I read a lot of police reports as well as journalist reports from this time, and the police report says that there were only 36 rations opened from that storage shed. Some of the news reports put the number as high as 72, but even then, that's not a lot. Because if you think of every ration pack as a meal, and you've got five guys staying in
15 meals a day.
What, 4?
If let's say if you're taking a ration's a meal, then you need to eat 3 meals a day, right? And you got 5 people, that's 15 per day. And they said 30, so that's a maximum of like 2 days between them all. Even if it was like 2 meals per day, that's like 10. And that lasts 3 days. It doesn't matter. Even if you had 1 meal per day, they wouldn't last long.
That's a lot more than 36 meals. And it's not like they ate all there was. There were entirely unopened boxes of rations and canned food supplies in the shed that were never touched. But even more bizarre than that was while both of the sheds had been opened with a pry bar, from the other shed that contained things like torches, nothing had been touched. Which is especially weird considering that Ted Weir's initial cause of death was frostbite. So what, they had a guy freezing to death and they opened up the shed that had all of the heating supplies and just decided not to use them or to never start a fire? Inside of the trailer were various paperback novels, any which could have been lit to start, again, a substantial fire. Maybe, as Drew Beeson points out in his book, Out of Bounds, What Happened to the Yuba County Five, they didn't want anyone or anything to see the smoke. After searching over the trailer, the police could determine that the only two who were definitely there at some point were Ted and Gary, meaning that still there was no sign of Jack Hewitt, Jack Madruga, or Bill Sterling. And, of course, the weirdest part about this entire thing. So, you may be wondering why, over the course of these last 4 months, did no one think to search a survivalist trailer that was in the...
Oh, God.
in the location of where the boys went missing. Because that seems like a very obvious answer, right? You can't find the boys. Maybe they're at the house that is specifically meant to keep boys alive if this very thing were to happen. And the answer is, this trailer was not in the vicinity of the missing vehicle. As a matter of fact, it was 20 miles further up the mountain. A mountain that, mind you, had been covered in snow and ice during this entire ordeal.
What?
I want you right now to think about a location that is 20 miles from where you are. Good, got that? Okay.
That's
now,
like if I
think
walk
about
to my
walking
high
to that
school and
location
back.
in several feet of snow while you're wearing a t-shirt and blue jeans, uphill at night.
Okay,
The
that's
possibility of
weird.
survival would be next to none. But yet again, there's Ted Weir's body lying on a bed 20 miles away. So of course, they begin a search of everything around that trailer. And in the next couple days, they would make final discoveries of the Yuba County investigation. Search crews began to trace the path from the trailer to where the Montego was spotted. And sure enough, about 11 and a half miles up the mountain from where the car was found, the bodies of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were found lying next to each other. Both of their bodies had been badly damaged by the elements. Madruga's had been partially eaten by coyotes or something of the sort, and Bill Sterling was nothing but picked bones at that point. Given that it was 11 miles up the trail, it is likely that along the initial journey, perhaps even that night, February the 24th, whenever the five were traveling up to the cabin, either Bill or Jack began to succumb to hypothermia, or perhaps both. In the late stages of hypothermia, the subject begins to be very tired and feel the need to go to sleep. Of course, this sleep is one they'll never wake up from. So maybe the two of them were in this late stage and decided to take a quick rest that they would never stand back up from, or even more heartbreaking, maybe Bill or Jack collapsed along the road and the other refused to leave them. For those several months, underneath the snow, their bodies lie next to each other. The only comfort to be found in the Around the same time, 2 miles northeast of the trailer, Jack Hewitt's father was a part of the search party. He saw his son's jacket lying underneath a bush. Whenever he went and picked up the jacket, Jack Hewitt's spine fell out. The crew began to investigate the area and eventually pieced together his skull, other bone fragments, and what remained of Jack Hewitt. Again, most likely dying of hypothermia in the same conditions as Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling. Jack Hewitt's jeans and shoes were also found nearby in a condition that implied they were taken off before Hewitt's death. So perhaps this would be the phenomenon known as paradoxical undressing, or whenever someone is about to succumb to hypothermia, they begin to strip off their clothes in a final burst of adrenaline before death. The only other discovery made was a quarter-mile from the trailer, so this would be the closest artifact to the trailer itself, were 3 blankets from the National Park Service and a rusted flashlight. Now, this area had never been combed as intensely as it was during this investigation, so perhaps the flashlight and blankets were from some other camper who simply lost them out on the trail. But again, it's also likely that it might have come from one of the boys. When Ted Weir's body was taken to autopsy, the coroner was astonished to hear that he was clean-shaven when he went missing, because from his beard growth, the coroner estimated that Ted had to be alive 8 to 13 weeks after the disappearance.
That's a
Meaning
while.
that at the very least, Ted had survived for 2 months in that trailer, most likely.
But why were there only 36 rations
If
consumed?
you'll remember, Gary
If that was one
Mathias
person, it only
was
lasts
in the
10
trailer,
days.
And Ted was in no condition to pry the
Was he
logs
the-
off of sheds and gather together rations. And despite being more than 40 years since the disappearance of the Yuba County Five, Gary Mathias or his remains have never been found. And I'll tell you, that is the only definitive evidence that ever came out of this case. So we have a group of 5 guys who had plans, who had no intention or inclination, it seemed, of running off into the woods one night. As a matter of fact, they had what seems to be severe opposition to doing just that. So these 5 guys run up a mountain, get the car stuck, leave it unlocked, walk 20 miles up an icy road, when remember, only 100 feet behind them, there was no ice on the mountain. They could have just turned around and began walking down the road to a much warmer and safer location. As a matter of fact, about 8 miles down the mountain, they would have passed a lodge that had people in it at that time. That would have been a much safer option than just walking up the snow into the dark and mysterious unknown. They walked for 20 miles, 3 of them died during this time, and then 2 of them stay in this trailer for months and months, until eventually, potentially after Ted dies, Gary just walks out of that cabin and off the earth forever. All begging the question, what happened on that mountain? Now, there seems to be a lot of confusion surrounding how the boys got from the car to the trailer. And I think there's a pretty easy solution to this that I want to go over now. And it also explains why I think 3 of the boys, Jack, and Bill, all died on that first night traveling to the trailer. So this is roundabout the location that the Mercury Montego was found. And up here, again, 19 and a half or 19.6 miles to the northwest is the trailer. Now, there were several different routes to get from where the car was to the trailer where the body of Ted would be found. The simplest path was traveling up the Montego a little bit to the west of where the trailer would be, and then curving back over into it. However, this trail was only about 11 miles, so where does everyone get the 20-mile number? Well, there was another trail that starts the same way this one does, but midway off, it breaks to the east, snakes up around the mountain before it comes down from the north of the trailer and winds up again at the same location. Man, that is a horrible drawing. I'll throw up a picture of it somewhere.
It looks like a face.
It's just what I'm talking about. But yeah, so why do people say 20 miles and think that they took this trail when there was a much easier trail to take over here? This is in no way relative of 11 or 20, but just pretend like it is. The bodies of both Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were found around this area, with the body of Jack Hewitt, if you'll remember, being found 2 miles to the northeast. Now, several people believe that maybe all 5 made it to the trailer, and then after they made it to the trailer, they either panicked and split up in different directions, or as they tried to search their way back to the Montego, they got lost and that's when people began to die. However, I don't think that's true for multiple reasons. For one, as mentioned, there weren't a lot of rations that were used at the trailer. Certainly not for 5 grown men to be at that trailer for any amount of time. And on top of that, the only people who there was definitive evidence that they made it to the trailer was Ted Weir and Gary Mathias. Conveniently, the only 2 whose bodies were not found on the path to the trailer. Rather than all 5 making it to the trailer, only 2 leaving evidence they were there, and then the other 3 walking out into the woods to die doesn't make a lot of sense. I think what more than likely happened is as they set off on that cold night, again, walking through several feet of snow with no direction or idea as to where you're going, 3 of them died along the path rather than all of them making it to the trailer through the harsh walk that night and then dying later on. I mean, I could kind of see the idea that they made it to the trailer and then Jack Madruga and Bill went back to get the car and they died on the way, or they got lost and died on the way. That kind of makes sense. But why on earth would Jack Hewitt make a 20-mile trek up to the trailer only to then walk less than 2 miles away and then succumb to the elements? And again, the evidence at the trailer doesn't support that the other 3 ever made it there. Now you may be asking yourself, okay, well why didn't the boys just follow the 11-mile trail that was half the distance than the one that they supposedly died on? Well, for one, none of them had any idea as to where they were going. It doesn't seem like any of them had ever even been up on this mountain, or at least not recent or with the accuracy to know the roads. And on top of that, their trail might have already been picked for them. Remember how I said a winter
I like how they
storm was
flip their little
coming
ears.
and it made the investigation a lot more difficult in the days after the car was discovered? Well, the Park Service also knew that a storm was coming. So to make sure that their trailers and other properties in the northern part of the mountains wouldn't be destroyed, they sent a snowcat up the mountain to check everything out. So 2 days before the boys show up on the snow-covered ground, this massive snowcat drove a path all the way up the mountain to that trailer. So think about it. If you're walking or perhaps running through the middle of the woods at night, are you going to walk through the completely uncharted snow or through the dozer tracks that have now patted down the snow and ice to a manageable degree? Now, you may not have any idea where those tracks lead, but it's a better option than just walking into the woods or up a trail that might have been completely covered by the snow.
Yeah, because at least you
Now,
know it's
I
fresh.
couldn't find any confirmation as to which path the snowcat took, if it took the 11-mile or the 20-mile path, but I think it took the 20-mile for 2 different reasons. Well, really 3 different reasons. I still think that the 3 men being found dead along this trail pretty well confirms that that's the trail they took. But number 2, the 11-mile trail seems to be much more steep than the 20-mile trail. The 20-mile trail is much more meandering and an easier way to get to the trailer. So perhaps the snowcat would have taken that one to avoid any icy inclines. And number 3, all of the reports from the time consistently say that the boys were on a 20-mile trail to the trailer. Now, if all of the reporters and police knew that there was an 11-mile one, then why say that the boys walked 20 miles? I think it's because investigators figured out initially that the boys probably followed the path of the snowcat, and then at the time they saw that the snowcat took the 20-mile trail. So whenever reporters asked how far they walked, the investigators just relayed that it was 20 miles. I say all that to say that I don't think Jack, or Bill ever made it to that trailer. There's a lot of theories as to what exactly went down at the trailer. Did some of the boys make it? Did one of them get scared and run away? But I think the only 2 who ever made it were Ted and Gary. There's some other small details about the trailer that are worth mentioning. For one, remember how I said there was a second sheet that had heating supplies in it? Well, among those heating supplies was a gas tank that, if a valve was turned, would provide heating to the entire trailer. However, it seems that this gas tank was never turned. This is just as odd, if not more odd, than the torches in the cabin never being used or a fire never being started. But again, perhaps they were just afraid of something finding them out there. Also on top of that, several of the ration cans were opened with what's called a church key can opener. It was something very popular back in the 70s. People would have used it to open soda bottles, and it's likely that all of the boys were familiar with it. But there's a mention in the reports that one of the cans was opened with a P-38 military can opener. For this reason, a lot of people say Jack Madruga had to make it to the trailer because he was in the military and would know
Yeah, I
how to
remember
use the military
was in the
can
military.
opener and may have even had one on him. That doesn't make any sense because do you know who else was in the military? Gary. And if you're asking if either Jack or Gary were more likely to keep a military can opener on them would definitely be Gary. It's for those reasons that I think 3 of the boys died on the night of February the 24th, and why I think Ted and Gary were the only ones to survive in that trailer for potentially the next 3 months. Now that we know everything,
But why would they not go back?
And my idea
I mean,
of what might have happened on the night of February the 24th,
maybe I'm wrong.
let's talk about the one witness who supposedly...
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm supposing that even back then they would have, you know, that they would have, like jackets and clothing to actually get you somewhere. I mean, again, I'm not the one I've never been stuck on a mountain. I've never done this, so if I'm wrong, please do not hesitate to correct me, because I don't want to be wrong. But what I'm thinking is that they would have gotten help. They would have gotten their crap sorted out. Not saying like they're bad. I'm saying like they would have gotten their situation sorted out. They would have took into account what happened, and then after that, they would try to do a trek down the mountain with clothes and supplies that were obtained from the shed.
Was there for the crucial moment that the 5 men left the car. And that is the testimony of a man named Joseph Schoen, whose car was stuck on the same trail that the boys' car was abandoned on. According to Joseph Schoen, he was driving up the mountain to check out a cabin that him and his family would be staying in that same weekend. February the 24th was a Friday, and on the 25th and 26th, him and his family planned to stay in a cabin at the top of Plumas National Forest. So effectively, Joseph was setting out to see how bad the snow would be for the family trip. He was driving up the mountain when, just like the 5 boys, shortly after crossing the 4,400-foot line and hitting the snow cap, his Volkswagen Beetle became stuck. Joseph gets out of the vehicle to push the car so that he can get traction and continue driving, when as he's pushing, he begins to have a heart attack. Now, Joseph had a history of chest pains and heart issues, so whenever he felt the tightness in his chest, he knew it might be serious. As a matter of fact, the pain was so intense that he threw up and defecated right there on the side of the snow-covered road. So, not wanting to push himself until he, died, Joseph decided to sit down in his vehicle and wait for the pain to stop. Eventually, Joseph fell asleep in his vehicle until around 11:30 or midnight, he heard what sounded like someone whistling for a dog, or basically someone whistling as if they're trying to get something's attention. Joseph comes to and looks in his rearview mirror and sees that behind him, about 100 feet down the road, just over a bend, he can see the headlights of a vehicle. Joseph, seeing this as an opportunity to get help, gets out of his Beetle and walks over a short incline to see around the bend of whoever's headlights these are aiming up the road. Joseph says that he saw the 69 Mercury Montego parked right there where the police would later find it, but behind it was a rusty red pickup truck. Standing outside of both the Montego and the pickup truck were 6 or 7 people, one of which he said looked like a woman holding a small baby. Joseph sees these people and begins to yell for help. However, he says as soon as he starts yelling, everyone quits talking, they turn off their headlights, before it seems that everyone, or at least what seemed to be everyone in the hazy nighttime air, files into the red truck, and the truck backs up and goes back down the mountain. Joseph thinks this is just a group of people who got stuck, so everyone hopped into the truck that could still get out of the snow. And thinking that they just didn't want to help him, he gets upset and walks back to his car. He says about an hour later, he's looking into the rearview mirror and sees what appears to be flashlights in the tree line, walking back and forward. Again, Joseph gets out of his car and yells for help, but as soon as he starts to yell, the flashlights cut out. At this point, Joseph's just wholly frustrated. He thinks this is another person who's stuck on the mountain and just doesn't want to help him. So Joseph sits in his car and leaves the engine running to try to maintain some heat. However, at 4 a.m., his car runs out of gas. Seeing that the only other option is freezing, Joseph gets out of his car and starts walking down the mountain. From there, some good Samaritan gives him a ride home, and after all of this investigation begins, he gives that story to the police. Now, the majority of accounts you'll read, or people who talk about this story, just take Schoen's testimony that there was a red truck there that had interacted with the boys, and they just leave it at that. They take it as Bible. For reasons I'm going to talk about in a minute, I believe almost none of Joseph Schoen's testimony. And as a matter of fact, I think Schoen might have had something to do with the boys' disappearance. And read information.
Good amount of money back then.
Discovery. Because of this, they had calls from all over the country, and even outside of the country. There were reports that the boys were seen at an airport in Miami, that they were in Ontario walking into a movie theater. Basically, as soon as you mention money, people just get dollar signs in their eyes and start to say whatever comes to mind. However, aside from Joseph Schoen, which Joseph Schoen was definitely on the mountain that night, as evidenced by his stuck beetle, but aside from his testimony, all the others were tenuous.
People that do
However,
that, dude,
there
there's
are two
different
that
level of
might hold some
evil.
value. One of them was of a woman who worked at a gas station in Brownsville. Now, Brownsville is the town that the boys would have had to have taken the exit in to get going the wrong direction up the mountain into the national park. At Brownsville, there was a location known as Mary's Country Store. She said that whenever she pulled up to Mary's to start her shift, that she got out of her vehicle, and sitting in a vehicle next to her were two guys who she thought might be mentally handicapped. She said this was because they had very wide smiles. The two men waved at her, and she waved back. And then as she was walking in, she saw that two other men were standing in a phone booth just in front of the store itself. After starting her shift, she said that the two guys from the phone booth came inside, bought things like chocolate milk and snack bars before they got back in the vehicle with the two other men and drove away. The store owner even corroborated this story and said that the men came in 2 days in a row. The police showed her pictures of the boys, and she picked out every one except for Gary. Now, here's the wrench in this whole thing. According to them, this back-to-back visit to Mary's Country Store was on February the 25th and February 26th. This makes no sense because the disappearance happened on February 24th. So what? Did the boys go up the mountain, get stuck, leave the vehicle unlocked, and then everyone but Gary drive down the mountain? Keep in mind they're both missing their game and haven't contacted their families. They go to this country store, get some snacks, get back in their vehicle, and then the next day they come back and do it again, all without, telling their family or doing anything that makes sense.
I get where that kind of falls apart.
Because that would mean after all that happened, they decide to just go abandon themselves back where the car's stuck and die in the woods. Now, otherwise, I would throw this story out completely and say it's just the store owner and the employee who thought they could lie to the police and each get $600 out of it. If it wasn't for one detail of their account that I will mention later. The third and final testimony that investigators really gave any credit to was the testimony of a man named Redrick. Redrick was a fairly well-to-do guy from Yuma County who owned property up around Loomis National Forest. Redrick said that about a year before the disappearance, he had gone up to check out the property, and while he was at his cabin in the middle of the woods, Ted Weir showed up. Ted Weir, who was up here in the middle of the woods with an older man who appeared to be in his 40s or 50s, as well as what appeared to be the man's son, who was maybe 14 to 16 years old. The three of them said that they were out hunting. Now, this doesn't make any sense because Ted Weir, as we've talked about, had a fear of the woods, a fear of the dark, and according to his family, he had a fear of firearms, and he didn't like to hurt animals. So him being up here in the middle of the woods with two otherwise strangers, because when this was reported to the family, they had no idea who these people might be. Why would he be in the middle of the woods just walking around Redrick's property?
That's dumb.
Redrick might have known Ted Weir. Again, Ted would do things like bag groceries at the local store, so it's possible that Redrick had seen him before, and that's why he recognized him up at his cabin. But I wouldn't think that Redrick and Ted would be close, or he would really know who it is. So I would more than likely with this story, and again, keep in mind, there were literally hundreds of false sightings of the boys. I would say that Redrick either made a mistake in thinking it was Ted Weir, or he just wanted the $1,200. And again, I would completely write this story off as just three other guys who were up in the mountain who had no connection to the case, if it wasn't for one detail about his testimony that I'll talk about in a minute. Now, at this point, we have looked at all of the logistics and witnesses of the case itself. While some aspects of these testimonies are off over others, the consensus seems to be that the boys drove up there to the vehicle, either under the officer or under their own free will, before they were forced to leave the vehicle, wandered out into the woods, and succumbed to the elements. In the initial reporting of this case, the media and some police forces were unnecessarily crude about the boys' condition. A lot of people just wrote it off as, oh, they're handicapped. Well, no wonder they just decided to walk off in the woods. But as we've talked about,
They were at least, conscious of their own environment.
It doesn't make sense that they would just wind up in the situation they did. And those who research the case in the modern age, as well as the victims' families, agree with that. So it seems to be that at some level of everything that transpired, foul play had to be involved. Either some
There
malicious
has
force
to be foul
forced them
play.
to go up the mountain,
Has
or
to be
some
foul
malicious
play.
force scared them out of the car, or kept them segregated to the top part of the mountain, too scared to come down, or perhaps all three. And now that you have the pieces, we can get into the theories around the case. And there's one theory that is far and away more popular than all the others. It is held by, I would say, 70 or 80% of the documentaries and news reports that I've read about this case. It is believed by several of the family members of the boys who went missing, specifically like the Madruga family, and it seems to be the consensus that a lot of people go with. And that is the belief that either by accident or on purpose, the boys were killed by Gary Mathias. That either by his leadership or malicious purpose, he took the boys up to the mountain and had them either killed by the elements, perhaps even killed them himself. The supporting information for this theory are things like Gary was the most intelligent out of the men, and if they were to do something like detour or walk out into the woods, it would either have to be his idea or at least with his consent. He did have a history of criminal violence, as discussed earlier, so if there was anyone in the group more likely to commit an act of violence, it would be him. And out of the boys, he was the most likely to be the outsider. While the boys got along with him, the parents were always kind of put off by him. Again, his spacey attitude and history of violence, and of course, the fact that Gary was never found. And while, like I said, this is far and away the most popular theory, and the majority of people who talk about the case will theorize that Gary got the boys killed, one way or the other, I don't believe that Gary did it. As a matter of fact, I think he might have been their last lifeline. Even the theories that it was accidental, that Gary just decided, hey, let's drive up to the woods, it'll be a fun trip, and then from there he just made a series of bad decisions that got everyone killed. While I think that might be more likely, I still don't think that's what happened. And to explain why, let's talk about Gary Mathias. As a young boy, Gary showed no signs of a mental illness. It wasn't until in elementary school when he suffered a serious head injury that he began to show signs that something was wrong. But of course, this was the 1960s, and standards of mental health were nothing compared to what they are today. So most people just considered young Gary to be off or have something wrong with him. Beginning in high school, it seems that Gary began to experiment with different kinds of drugs, most likely a form of self-medication. He played football in high school and seemed to be well-liked by people around him, but after high school, he didn't have a lot of options. So, Gary joined the military. After being in the military for a couple of years, most likely because his drug problem seemed to worsen around this time, Gary began to act out. He began to be violent to other people around him. He began to have shouting fits and be inconsolable. It culminated when one day, after he had spent some time in the brig for getting in a fight with another soldier, a sergeant, I believe it was a sergeant, some just say officer, some high-ranking military person came to let him out, and as soon as they let him out, Gary punched him in the face. He was also naked when he did it, but the important part was he punched the guy in the face. When Gary was later asked why he did this, Gary said that he wanted to be out of the military, and he figured if he punched this guy, they'd kick him out. Gary had a psych evaluation around this time, and he was formally diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Because of this, he was discharged from the military and returned home. He thought he might attend school for a while, so he wanted to go live with his grandmother up in Portland, Oregon, but his parents, seeing that he was beginning to act out, thought that it might not be a good idea, and they urged him to come back, and eventually Gary just cut off contact with his parents. That was until one day, a very unshaven and dirty Gary Mathias showed up at his parents' doorstep when last they heard he was living with his grandmother up in Portland. Turns out that one day, for seemingly no reason at all, Gary decided to walk from Portland, Oregon to his parents' home in Yuba County. This was a distance of 550 miles that Gary traversed by walking and hitchhiking, doing things like stealing milk and dog food off of people's porches just to stay alive. So while he was was unstable socially, sure, the dude had the fortitude to just pull out a map and walk from Portland to Yuba all in one trip. It was a couple years after this, once Gary had returned home, that his violent tendencies began to crop up. Gary was about 23 at the time, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. What he did was pretty bad. There were several occasions that men would fight him in local bars because he would do things like grope their wives. One time,
Oh
after
my
getting
God.
into an altercation with the man, he began to scream at the man's 3-year-old daughter and threatened to kill her. And in perhaps the most terrifying thing he ever did, a couple who was living in Yuba County awoke one night to see Gary Mathias standing in their bedroom, just cloaked in darkness. Whenever they freaked out and asked what he's doing here, he said that he was there to get a ring back from them that he needed to give to Satan, and that they're in his house and they owe him money. Because of this, Gary was constantly in and out of jail. His parents would pay his bail to get him out, and this entire time he was acting out in extreme violence. After this last instance where he broke into someone's house, his family recognized that he was getting worse and someone might really get hurt. So, seeking help, they eventually got him involved with Gateway Projects. As mentioned earlier, Gateway Projects was a program for people who had various different mental disorders or conditions. And through Gateway Projects, Gary, for the first time, properly treated his schizophrenia. And as soon as he got on medication, Gary became a model citizen. He began to take care of himself and make amends with the people that he had hurt and wronged. He had money coming in from the VA, but he also began to work with his dad and help him run his business. According to those around him, Gary became socially outgoing and began to volunteer for local work within the community. As a matter of fact, Gateway Project said that he was a model case of someone getting the help they needed and making the most of it. The way that he came into contact with the 4 others was after a year in the program, his counselor said that Gary could really use some friends. So he introduced Gary to the 4 others of the Gateway Gators basketball team who needed a team leader. And according to counselors, coaches, and everyone around, as soon as Gary met the 4 others, they became inseparable. Gary was smart and he was able to think things out clearly, so he would often travel with the boys wherever they went to make sure they were okay. According to those who knew him, Gary was very protective of the 4 other boys and very defensive if anyone insulted or threatened him. At the time of the disappearance, Gary had a relationship with his high school sweetheart, and the 2 of them seemed to get along great. His life was in a fantastic condition when the disappearance happened, but that didn't change the news and reports around just simply pulling up his criminal history and calling it an open and shut case. The news said that the 4 men who were mentally disadvantaged went up the mountain with a psychopath, a crazed schizophrenic who was ready to hurt him at a moment's notice. And aside from a couple family members who were just afraid of what happened to their boys and pointed a finger to Gary quickly because, again, he had a history of violence, and out of all the boys, he was the one who should have known better than, walking up a mountain in the middle of the night. Everyone said that Gary was a great guy who really loved his friends. And when I think about it that way, some of the details of this case absolutely break my heart. Again, going off of my theory and what I think a lot of people who know the case kind of accept as the timeline of events, Bill, Jack, and Jack all died on the way to the trailer, which means that the only 2 people who made it were Ted and Gary. And Ted was in no position to do anything. His toes were falling off. He certainly wasn't gathering food or wrapping himself in all those blankets. But for Ted to be alive as long as he was, someone had to be feeding him, someone had to be keeping him warm and dry, and someone, after Ted died, had to wrap what was left of him in 7 blankets that were scrounged together from that cabin. There were ration canisters all over the room where Ted's body was found. And Ted, who originally weighed about 200 pounds, it was estimated that at his time of death, he probably weighed closer to 100. And it was likely because he was battling pneumonia and wasn't in the mood to eat a lot of food. What little he did to keep him alive that long was probably forced on him by Gary. The only other evidence that the police stated in their report that was found in the cabin of activity were things like candles that had been burnt and playing cards that had been used. I can't help but imagine Gary taking care of Ted as long as he could. And then after Ted dies, he wraps him in a blanket, gathers what little supplies he has, and steps out into the woods. Now, again, I am just a guy on the internet who has read what other people have witnessed and documented. My information could be wrong, and my opinions could be wrong. A lot of people who are close to the case that Gary was the perpetrator, or at least insistent on a lot of the things that caused these events to happen. And who am I to argue with people who were there, actually related to it? But from what I don't think Gary did it. And I think it's tragic that a lot of people do. I also think a lot of events that took place can kind of be explained with Gary's fortitude to survival. Again, we know he walked 550 miles through some pretty cold temperature. So perhaps after Bill and Jack Madruga died on the path, or maybe one of them died and the other wouldn't leave them. If my theory of the path they traveled is correct, I can imagine Gary urging the two others to follow him, because while they might be a lost cause, he wouldn't lose anyone else. Same with after Jack Hewitt's death, Gary may have just been trying to save Ted, the last man he could save. Now, another thing to keep in mind is Gary was a good, upstanding guy while he was on his medication. As I mentioned before his medication, he had some pretty violent tendencies and harsh delusions. And this was a medication that he would take twice a day, every day. So it is true that without that medication, there's no telling what his mindset might have switched to in the following weeks. It wouldn't have had anything to do with the initial disappearance or the first several nights on top of the mountain. But after several weeks, once the medications left his system, he might have been in a pretty bad place. Perhaps the flashlight and blankets that were found a quarter-mile away from the trailer were his. Maybe he had packed them and then, in a haste, discarded them for no reason. He might have just ran off wildly into the woods and then eventually succumbed to the elements as well. And his separation from the location may explain why his body was never found. Given that he would have been off his medication for some time, the local authorities searched at mental health facilities, at hospitals, at prisons, to see if there was any sign of Gary Mathias, and again, none was ever found. It is highly likely that he died in those woods as well. I just think he did it after everyone else. Gary, who had the most experience and was the most likely to survive out of all of them, I believe, kept the others alive as long as he could. So
because he was a friend. He liked to stand up for people.
What do I think happened? And to answer that question, let's look at Joseph Schoen. So in the news reports and even some of the police interviews after the disappearance, Joseph Schoen is painted to be just an upstanding family man who had a bit of a health scare, and then he was very complicit with the police and wanted to see these boys return home safe. And that is not at all what he was. Joseph Schoen was the town drunk and had a habit for making a fool of himself and driving drunk and running his car off the road. He was a compulsive flyer, and according to those who knew him, very annoying. Because he would drive drunk so often, it was a common sight to see his Volkswagen Beetle ran off the side of a road. Initially, it's a small community, people would go to help him out, but he was always hateful about it, never grateful, and just made their day worse. So eventually, it was not uncommon for his car to be left at locations for days at a time because no one wanted to talk to him. One of his family members even said that if Joseph Schoen was ever murdered, the case could never be solved because the entire town would be a suspect because everyone had a reason to kill him. Remember his whole story that the reason he was going up there in the first place was because he was going to check out a weekend cabin that he was staying at with his family? Well, it turns out that he did not own a cabin up there and did not rent a cabin up there. All of that was a lie. What more than likely was happening is earlier that day, he was seen at a bar getting drunk. So most likely he just got drunk and started driving and then slipped off on the side of the road. And he didn't want to tell the police that, so he said that he was going up there to look at a weekend cabin. His entire testimony, which I read earlier, by the way, was the third iteration of his testimony, or technically fourth. So the part about him walking into the lodge 8 miles down the hill in the early morning hours of February the 25th is true. And if you'll remember, I said he got a ride home with some good Samaritans who were at the lodge. According to the two people who drove him home, he was ungrateful and annoying for the entire ride. He kept complaining about getting stuck and said that the reason he got stuck is because a car was tailgating him the whole way up the mountain and eventually caused him to spin off the road. Now, this is very different, again, from the story that he would eventually give the police. And it's hard to tell with a compulsive liar which one's the lie and which one is true, but there might be a sliver of truth to it, considering these were the initial things that he told the two people he was in the vehicle with before he thought through what he wanted to tell the police. Or at the same time, he could have just been looking for an excuse as to why he got the car stuck, because saying that he just did it on his own was too embarrassing. But either way, a very different story than his official account. After he got home, he fell asleep, and when his wife came home to see how he was doing, he explained that his car got stuck on top of the mountain, so his wife and another guy went to go get it because I guess he just couldn't be bothered to help her move his car. Now, according to them, it was out of gas, which is an element of the testimony he would eventually give the police. And at the very least, the car was up there because the same park service ranger who called in the 69 Montego that the boys were in said that there was a Volkswagen stuck just in front of it. Also, fun fact, remember the detail earlier that his heart attack was so awful that he defecated outside of his vehicle?
How is
The
that?
park ranger also confirmed that he saw that there as well. I believe it was while the
Oh,
wife
boy.
was freeing the car, she heard about the investigation. The husband called the police and gave them a very brief version initially, saying that he was up there and he saw that car and he saw some boys standing around it. So then the police call him back a couple days later to get more details. In this second phone call with the police, which is now the third time that he's told this story, he said that whenever he walked and looked at the car, he saw 2 to 12 people, which...
What?
What? How is it either 2 or 12? He also said that while in his initial phone call he said there was a truck parked behind the car, that the police shouldn't worry about it because he was having a heart attack and might have been hallucinating. Which again, what? I know heart attacks can be pretty bad and all, but you just imagine a truck and 10 other people were there? His story had a lot of inconsistencies, so for the final time that he gave his testimony, the police sent someone to interview him directly. By this time, over a week had passed since the boy's disappearance, and Joseph Schoen was in the hospital. He had finally gone to the hospital over his heart attack, and the doctor confirmed that he did have a heart attack. Kind of. So you remember how I said Joseph Schoen had chest pains and like a history of heart issues? Well, this was 1978, and the doctor said that he did have a heart attack at some point. So that doesn't mean that everything that happened in his hallucinations or whatnot were because of a heart attack that he had on top of the mountain. It is much more likely that he got hammered, ran his car off the road, and then his heart attack hallucination was just his drunken stupor. That also makes more sense to why he pulled his pants down and defecated next to his car, rather than doing that because he was having, again, a heart attack. But while he was in the hospital,
How can you, like,
he gave a final
have a heart
testimony.
attack so bad if you just, like,
This
crap
testimony
everywhere?
he gave in the hospital
I
was
mean,
the
I'm not really a medical
But
professional,
there's
but
weird
I hope
things
someone
to
can explain
know
that to
about
me.
that testimony. For one, whenever the police got there, the investigators spoke to the nurses, and the nurses said that for the past several days, Joseph Schoen couldn't quit crying, and that he was inconsolable to anyone who tried to help him with whatever he was going through. But as soon as the police showed up, he pulled it together. Also, while the police were giving the interview, everything seemed to be going fine. Joseph was answering questions until they started to ask more questions about the specifics of the boys, where they went, what they looked like, what vehicle they seemed to get in, etc. And just midway through, Joseph stops, leans back in the hospital bed, and says, "You think I know more than I'm letting on, don't you?" Which is a really weird thing for a witness to say regarding a disappearance. Like, what a strange thing to just say unprompted. Another detail, remember how I said that in the early hours of February 25th, Joseph made his way into the lodge 8 miles down from where the cars got stuck? According to the people who saw him walk in, several different witnesses said that he walked into the lodge, sat down at the bar, rubbed his head in his hands, and said, "I should have done this 2 years ago." Now, there's a lot of people who think that Joseph Schoen was directly responsible for what happened to the boys, and I don't think so. Joseph Schoen, while he was arrested several times for DUIs, and he was known to have a temper and lie to people, there's nothing to indicate that he was expressly violent, at least not to any degree that he would murder people. And some of the more damning details, like him crying the days prior and him saying the thing about 2 years ago in the lodge, I think can be excused. The whole comment about "I should have done this 2 years ago" could have been in response to anything. Who knows what he was thinking about in his several-hour walk down the mountain? He could have been talking about, you know, getting a new car because the Volkswagen was unreliable. He could have been
I mean,
talking
I believe that.
about, you know, heart checked out. Maybe he did have some heart pains. I'm not sure about the heart attack because I don't believe him. But maybe he was talking about he needed to go get his heart checked out 2 years ago. Who knows? Also, that line doesn't make any sense if he did murder the guys. What, 2 years ago he should have got them to come up the mountain before they even knew each other and killed them? One interesting thing of note is Sean's daughter had dysphagia, so there's a chance that maybe she attended some of the Gateway Project's events, because the Gateway Project was pretty well known throughout the area. So because of that, it's possible that Joseph Schoen may have known one or a few of the boys. But, I mean, everyone in a small town knows each other in some way. I still don't think, even if he did know him, that would mean he wanted to kill them. Some believe that perhaps Joseph Schoen caused an encounter that caused the boys to flee. Now, I think this one might be more plausible. Perhaps the boys were driving up behind Schoen, or they just also so happened to get stuck near him, and Schoen was drunk and caused a scene that scared the boys off. But for one, I don't think that, say, Gary would have been afraid of some drunk old guy who was just yelling obscenities at them. I could see that for some of the others, but I don't think Gary would have,
Yeah, I don't think Gary would take that dude's crap.
We gotta go up the hill now. And even then, worst case scenario, if he did start yelling at him or scared him off or whatever, then why not just walk back down the mountain where, you know, it's not covered in snow and ice? Instead, I think what happened is Joseph Schoen saw something that he wasn't supposed to. See, Schoen had connections to a bit more extreme criminal routes than just a DUI. A while before all this happened, Joseph and his wife decided to grow and sell weed. They tried it twice.
Yep, that's California
One time,
for you.
Some other people who were selling weed came and tried to steal it from them, and the second time they tried, the police seized it all. But because of this, it's likely that Joseph had connections to distributors or dealers in the area. That would explain why, after he initially called the police and said that he saw the red truck, whenever the police called him back and asked him about it, he said that he probably just hallucinated and they shouldn't worry about the red truck, before crying for several days and then confirming that there was in fact a red truck. I don't think that Schoen
This dude has some problems.
I don't think he wanted the boys to die by any means. I think that he saw more than he ever let people know. The reason that he probably called the police in the first place is because they put together the dots that he was there that night, because as mentioned, the park
And he doesn't want to be seen as guilty.
100 feet from the Montego. So Joseph probably figured that he needed to get ahead of it and give a testimony that exonerates him. And if that is the case, then we'll never know, because Joseph Schoen passed away in 2004. Also, his wife was complicit and helped him in like the weed operations and all that. So if he did fabricate this story to exonerate himself, if maybe he like knew the people involved, or he was afraid that they would act if he told the police.
Yeah, about 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Because of all
Or roughly
that,
2 hours and 10
really
minutes,
trust
probably.
the wife's testimony either.
Hoping
That
I
Otis
should be able to get this
was
block
there,
done.
was out of gas and just went along with the timeline that her husband had already stated. Now you may be asking yourself, okay, well, if this dude was just a town drunk who probably just got hammered and wound up on the side of the road, then why take any part of his testimony? Why not just say that he made up all of it because he's a compulsive liar? That's what they do. And the reason that I can't just throw it all away, at least not in my head,
Every
is
info
because of the mention of the red truck. Again, I think Joseph Schoen lied about a lot of stuff that he saw. I don't think he lied about the red truck, because remember those two other testimonies I mentioned earlier, Mr. Redrick and Mary's Country Store at the bottom of the mountain? Well, in Mr. Redrick's account, if you'll remember, he was the one who said that he saw Ted with 2 other guys who were out deer hunting, which didn't make a lot of sense. And while I normally discount that, he ended his testimony by saying the 3 of them drove away in an old red, rusty red Ford pickup. Now this raises
Sounds
questions.
just
Did
like
Ted
what they're
know
talking
someone
about.
who went hunting up in these mountains that no one else in his life, or at least none of his parents, had knowledge of?
What?
A red pickup who went hunting up in these mountains that no one else in his life, or at least none of his parents, had knowledge of, who owned a red pickup truck. And you could say, okay, well, 2 times, you know, maybe like that red pickup was real, but the one that Joseph mentioned, maybe that was fake. And I would agree with you if it wasn't for the account from Mary's Country Store. Remember how I said that according to the person who was working there and the store this account that absolutely makes no sense. It makes no sense for the boys to go missing on the night of the 24th, and then for the next 2 days go get drinks at the country store. So it's like, yep, easily a fake story. I can throw all of it away, but why did they mention the detail about a red pickup? The only thing that I can possibly think is whoever did this, whoever caused all this to go into effect, whoever was the instigator, so to speak, was driving a red truck and was afraid that someone witnessed it. So they just, I don't know, threatened people? But that doesn't make any sense. Why would Mr. Redrick even mention that a year ago he saw them? As a matter of fact, why would the people at the country store call the police and tell them that they have a tip? Would it be to clear the red pickup truck by saying that you saw a red pickup truck associated with the boys? That doesn't make any sense. Maybe the red pickup truck was a purposeful red herring because in the months between them finding the car and them finding Ted's body in the trailer, that was the only lead they had to go on. They had those 3 testimonies, so they just started searching people who had a red pickup truck, and nothing ever came of it. The closest was, there was a property up in the mountains, kind of near the region, where a cop said that he saw a red pickup near an old cabin, and he got a warrant to go search, but whenever he went there, the cabin seemed abandoned, and the truck was nowhere to be found. Which even if that was there, that truck, I mean, more than one person owns the red pickup, right? But why on earth would these 3 different accounts that on their own can all be dismissed all talk about the same truck? It drives me crazy. Out of all the details of the case, that's the one
drives me crazy.
unexplainable. I can theorize about a lot of it, but there's no way I can reconcile that the boys went to a country store 2 days in a row and then went back up to the mountain. If it was someone kidnapping them, I can't imagine that. If it was them working, but like they were initially working well with someone and then they ditched them on top of the mountain, I can't imagine that. Why wouldn't Gary be there? Why would they go back up there in the first place? Even if you had a scenario like the truck shows up and, just by coincidence, I guess, the truck shows up, offers to help them with the car, and then they spend 2 days working on the car before inevitably dying up in those woods. And I don't believe other details of the account from the gas station as well. The woman who called the police said that she saw Jack Hewitt operating the phone. But according to Jack Hewitt's family, he hated phones and never wanted to touch them because he got frustrated with them. So why would he be the one out of all the boys to be working the payphone? Not to mention that for any of that to happen, they had to miss their games and not tell any of their family members. It doesn't make any sense, but then there's that stupid red truck that is going to haunt my dreams forever, probably. The one thing
At US Cellular Prepaid, our plans have no extra fees. So they don't just look good.
Isn't US Cellular owned by Comcast? If so, no.
With the majority of reports about this story on is I do think foul play was involved. I don't think, as cool as it would be, that this was a Wendigo or a Bigfoot or whatever that scared them and ran them off. Although some details of this story certainly feel like it, I do think it can be explained away with non-supernatural means, as lame as that is. I think foul play was involved, and I think it had to happen early. Something pushed those boys up that mountain. Something else to keep in mind is, remember how I said that the Montego was found unlocked with the driver's side window rolled down? I understand the car being unlocked. You know, they all got out in a hurry and shut the door. There wasn't time to lock it, perhaps. But the driver's side window being rolled
was
down
open.
It was really cold up there, and none of the boys were dressed for it. So the only way I can imagine in a cold temperature that you would roll down the driver's side window is if it was to talk to somebody. So maybe
Exactly.
was driving from someone and then eventually stopped, rolled down his window to talk to him, and that's when things went wrong. It's also worth mentioning that the car keys to the Montego were found in Madruga's pocket during his autopsy. So there seems to have been enough time for them to get out of the car, shut it, him put his keys in his pocket, but not enough time to like lock it or roll up the window. Again, that car was his prized possession. Why would he just leave it like that? There's also several details about this case that are only mentioned by family members and local legend, and I'm kind of split on bringing it up because some of these things are things that had to be in the police report. There's no way they wouldn't be included. But as someone who also lives in a small town, I know that, you know, the local police aren't perfect by any means, and they can miss something. And, you know, sometimes the best news I hear is gossip from people who were there or someone who knew somebody. So none of this can be validated, and I'm not going to incorporate it into my final theory, but it's worth mentioning. According to local legend, or at least some local legend, that night, whenever the boys were leaving the UC Davis basketball game, Gary got into a fight with someone from the college because they began picking on Jack Hewitt. Again,
I feel like that
Gary
might
was
have been the
very
case.
protective of the boys and known to stand up for them, so this in itself makes sense. But as the legend goes, supposedly this broke out into a fight, to which the boys quickly left and were then followed by the other men from the college. While this could explain the inciting incident that got the boys scared and caused them to run up the mountain, it doesn't explain why they would begin to get chased and then pull into a gas station to get snacks and then start getting chased again. Although that would be funny. Some say that where the Montego was found, there were bullet casings lying in the snow next to it. I don't believe this one at all, because that is something that
There's
the
no
police would
bullet
absolutely
wounds found on the
should
body.
look into. That's not just something that they would be like, oh, bullets. That's weird. The police did handle some aspects of the trailer poorly. Like I said earlier, it's believable that they wouldn't have thought to search it initially because it's 20 miles up the mountain. No one would believe that these guys who were just wearing t-shirts and whatnot would travel that way on foot, regardless of, their mental disposition. But there was a point where the Park Service mentioned to the police, because it was the police's investigation, there was a point where the Park Service mentioned that there were trailers up there they may want to check out, and the police never did. This is a decision that's been heavily scrutinized by the family, because if they went to check that trailer in the first couple months, then at least Ted and Gary probably would have lived. And then whenever they got to the trailer, they didn't dust for prints. A lot of the information around the trailer is kind of strange. Like, for example, remember how I said there was a nightstand next to Ted's body? Well, the bed that his body was on. On the nightstand were things like Ted's necklace he wore, Ted's wallet, but then there was a gold watch that didn't belong to any of the boys. And it seems that the police just kind of shrugged their shoulders and were like, yeah, that's weird. But don't you think they should look into that? Most likely, and the reason I didn't bring it up earlier, most likely the watch was left by one of the park rangers who had worked there or stayed the night there for a while. So he just left his watch, and that just didn't come up in the reports because it wasn't that important. But yeah, they were kind of just haphazard about this unidentified piece of jewelry. They also didn't check the trailer for prints or anything like that. So the one piece of folklore that I'm willing to believe is supposedly, at least according to the Matthias family, inside of the trailer, written on several books, were scrapings of self-affirmations written by Gary. Part of Gary's therapy whenever he began his treatments at Gateway Projects was to write things about himself, saying like, I'm stronger, I'm going to get through this, I am resilient or whatnot. And it paints a sad picture, but also a believable one, that as his mind was beginning to slip, or as the medication was beginning to wear off, that he was writing these affirmations over and over in the books and pages around him. Also while he was supposedly taking care of Ted. So I'll accept that little piece of urban legend around it, but I can't believe that, there were bullets fired and, shell casings everywhere and the police never mentioned it. So after all of that, what do I believe to be the reason that all of this happened? What do I think happened on the night of February the 24th? And I don't have any definitive answers, but there is one theory that, as I found out more details about the case, continues to make more sense to me, and it's going off of a lot of assumptions and a lot of what ifs, but everything about this case is. So this is the best I've got. According to those who knew Gary Matthias, he had a group of friends over in Forbstown. Remember how I said earlier that, Shone was trying to grow weed for a while and ran into competition, effectively, that tried to steal it? Well, that was because this region was known for making, growing, and selling drugs. And while Gary would eventually get involved in things as intense as meth, back in high school he was known for just smoking weed, as were most high schoolers in the 60s. So while I'm not willing to believe that Gary decided to take the boys up the side of a mountain for no reason at all, I am willing to believe this happened. Maybe the boys are out one night and they're going to the UC Davis basketball game, and they're all having a good time. They've got a tournament in the morning they're all excited for. So maybe Gary just makes a suggestion. Hey, do y'all want to get high? Not in an act of maliciousness, as some believe, or of ill will towards the others, just a lack of and closer to where they eventually ended up in Yuba City. So maybe on their way home, he decided to direct them down the road to end up at Forbstown. And maybe once he got there, something bad happened. Maybe it was a fight, maybe they didn't want to see him around, who knows. But for whatever reason, maybe the boys got chased away. As a matter of fact, maybe they got chased all the way up the mountain, which the drive from Forbstown to start on that road to go up the mountain, for one, might have been what the boys thought was the only option to lose the people who were chasing them. And two, might have been their only option if they were panicked and trying to get away. Perhaps they were even being chased by a red pickup. They get to the top of the mountain, the car becomes stuck, they begin to spin it to try to get it going, but to no avail. The truck speeding up behind them, and with no other option and not enough time to get out and push, the boys simply get out and run. They run into the night, 3 of them succumb to the elements, and over the next several weeks, Ted and Gary hole up in a house waiting for rescue to come, while Gary is too afraid to light a fire or do anything that may attract the attention of the people chasing them. To which eventually, Ted and Gary succumb to nature as well. Joseph Schoen, by dumb luck, wound up on the mountain that night, and knowing that the people in the region, perhaps even the same people who stole his weed several years back, are not to be messed with.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
His initial statement that he saw a red truck that night, before feeling guilty about it while he's in the hospital, and then telling the police that he did in fact see a red truck, with the caveat that he gets defensive whenever his name is implicated in the disappearance. It's not perfect, it's got a lot of holes, but it's the closest thing that I can think of. And then I guess the people down at the store who called in and said that they saw the 4 boys, pull up in a red truck, maybe they just heard that the police were looking for a red truck, so in order to get the money, they decided to throw that in there to spice it up. And I'll accept the Redrick seeing the guys in the mountain in the red truck as coincidence. I'm sure there could be more than one. Out of all the pieces, it's the best I can think of. Other people have pointed out that maybe Gary and the boys were trying to drive over to Forbstown because the road between Quincy that they were taking up the mountain and the road to Forbstown are kind of similar in spots. So maybe after they took that detour to Forbstown, they just got lost and wound up on top of the mountain. But that doesn't explain things like they didn't get out to push the car, them just walking up the mountain, up the snowpack trail rather than back down the mountain. It doesn't explain them leaving the window down and the car unlocked. I do definitely believe that something chased them from the bottom of that hill to the top. And then I think after that, nature just took its course. What I will say about this case, definitively, aside from all the theories, aside from all the possibilities of who was responsible, of what was responsible, this is one of the scariest things that I've ever read about in true crime, in Missing 411, etc. Because in nearly every case I read, there is some, thorough explanation. That it can be grisly, it can be awful, it can be, oh, well, this person was murdered probably, or they were probably abducted, or what have you. But with this story, not only is it so scary, the kind of into thin air nature of people like Gary Mathias, but something compelled five athletic men were so afraid of something that they chose to run into the woods and die, and that is terrifying. In the weeks that Gary and Ted would have been in that trailer, I understand that Gary's medication would have wore off, and his paranoid schizophrenia would have been just horrific. I couldn't imagine what he went through. And that explains why he didn't make a fire later, but he also never made a fire in the beginning. There was no sign of a fire being started at all. Not only that, but as I mentioned, in the shed outside of the trailer, he could have just turned a lever and lit the house. Could have, provided warmth, supposedly saved Ted. But something had him so scared that he wouldn't dare make himself warm. It is a case that haunts me. What pushed those men up the mountain? What got them so scared they abandoned their vehicle? And what made them choose to die in the snow rather than go back the way they came or go anywhere for help? One final detail I want to mention is, according to Gary Mathias' sister, she said that Gary would often tell her that he used to have these dreams, and one day him and a group of boys would suddenly disappear. Now, a lot of people look at this story with a sort of malice, saying that Gary was planning this disappearance all along. But it seemed that Gary feared these dreams, and in my opinion, makes this story all the more tragic. As I mentioned earlier, this case is over 40 years old, and we're probably never going to get definitive answers. I've read several theories, and there's several people locally who think they may know the players involved, several of which might be people who are still alive, people who are given code names on the internet, but people locally know exactly who it's referring to. And there are some
Hello.
Hello.
So there's a chance when all that happens that maybe we'll find out. And I hope that, what, 5, 10 years from now, I can make a video giving the full breakdown of what happened that night to the Yuba County Five. But for now, it's going to have to remain a mystery that has made me lose sleep, a mystery that has stuck with me, and just the terror of these 5 poor men who suffered so much in life as is, being pushed to quite inexplicable horror. And it gets to me. I don't know, something about the kindness of the men and the hopelessness of the situation. Imagine being so scared that you as a person, that you run into the snow in the middle of the night in the woods, knowing that you're probably going to die, but that's the better option than whatever lays behind you. It's horrific. It's a terrible state of mind that few people have to be in, and it hurts that it had to happen to these boys. But that is the disappearance, and that is the case of the Yuba County Five. And really, if I had to suffer through it, if I have to live with this knowledge, then you do too. So you're welcome. But I'm glad you're here to suffer with me, and it means the world. I just want to say thank you for watching. As I mentioned, this is a case that has scared me a lot, and I mean it. Like the title about like the scariest case and all that. I read about a ton of these things. So many different, like, oh, an inexplicable disappearance, this happened to this person, that. But there's something about 5 guys in the middle of the woods who you would hope, well, like, yes, mentally deficient, sure, but you know, they're basketball players, right? If anyone could walk down the mountain, it would be these guys. They even have the road to go with. But to know that you can have so many options laid out for you to survive, and it doesn't work. There are nightmare scenarios in the world that happen every day, and it happened to these guys. I have lost sleep thinking about Gary. About, like, can you imagine, for one, you're under-equipped for the area, and sure, you found some supplies or whatnot, and it's just you and one of your friends in a trailer, and you try to nurse him to health, and he dies, and you wrap him in a sheet, and it's now just you, the woods, and your friend's body. What a horrifying predicament. And then at the end of that, to decide just to walk off, to take your chances, and never to be seen again. It's terrifying. Nightmare fuel. Just the woods at night are scary enough as is. As someone who's like goes camping and spends time out there at night, you are not welcome. You like I love it. I enjoy it because it's nature, but you can immediately tell that you are an alien in this land. And to be out there in the cold, to be chased by something, watching people die around you, have to keep going. Horrific. Yeah, this story scares me. I hope one day we find out what happens. Again, like I mentioned, there's people locally who say, oh, well, everyone knows that so-and-so Asimov. He was a little spacey, but he was in no way malicious towards the boys, I don't believe. I know some of the family members believe that, and their testimony matters more than mine, but from what I've read, I don't. So yeah, that's my ideas about this bright and lovely case to help your day. Oh yeah, this is the longest outro ever. When Madruga's niece, Kathy Madruga, like right after Jack went missing, she thought that Matthias was the mastermind behind it, because if you'll remember, like the Madruga family didn't like Matthias because of his history of violence or whatever, and she was the first one who actually gave the idea that he had friends over in Forbestown. So Kathy just drives out to Forbestown, and it was a known area for like drug trafficking or whatever. So she runs up on a bunch of people who like are holding shotguns and threatening. And Kathy was a little gung-ho about everything. A little. She was a lot gung-ho. There was a shed that was locked up on a property, and she was just convinced that they had Gary locked up in there to keep him safe from the police. And at gunpoint, she was yelling stuff to do. Anyway, so Kathy drove down there the day after, and there were like men with guns. There were people defensive. So that may indicate that maybe, the boys showed up the night before, and that's why everyone was so antsy. The police did go investigate Forbestown and ask around, and all of them said that they hadn't seen Gary in the past couple years since he got clean. But again, that's what they would say if the night before they had chased him up a mountain and got the boys killed. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, just an idea. But yeah, I've talked enough about this case. If you're interested, there's so many interesting books and documentaries about it that I believe you should go check out. Actually, there's one more thing I want to mention. So one documentary I watched about this case, it was a TV show called Cold Cases, which was on a network we got through YouTube TV. I forget the name of it. That is just...
4 times I spent 100 days in the Arctic, and like, here's what happened. But actually, I want to finish the
Imagine your future differently.
I want to finish the
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about one of the most
I want to finish the plague video. He's at day 12.
I was running into a lot of plagued citizens down there, and I felt like I was pushing my luck, so I left. I also ran out of torches, and because of the realistic torches mod, I couldn't just simply make torches. I was amazed to get the woodens and work, I also wanted to get diamond armor on me as fast as possible, but to do that, I needed level 16 in defense, which was significantly higher than the level 5 that was required to use iron armor. Level 16 in defense requires like the equivalent of like 45 levels of regular Minecraft XP.
That's a lot.
And that was a lot for a man like me. So for now, I you know what? I said 45 levels. I have no clue. That was just a guess. It's a lot of XP, is what I mean to say. So for now, my focus with the XP that I was gathering would be to dump it into defense and try to get that up as high as possible, as fast as possible. The next day, I gunned it out the door.
You gotta just get it. You come out the door, you gotta go fast. You gotta run straight out the door, otherwise some guy's gonna puke on you. And then I'm screwed because I don't have gold.
I was carefully cutting down trees to get more wood so that I could make torches, and then resume mining so that I could get gold. And the
Shouldn't you
cobblestone
get
that I would
gold?
need to build the mustard manor. These trees, they were driving me a little bit buck nutty. I was starting to get a little bit crazy cutting down all these funky trees. All right, they had random logs hidden amongst the leaves, and you'll see later that I ended up with a galaxy of floating leaves around my mansion.
Oh, there's one in there. Probably a nice little piece of wood somewhere in there. That's... What are you guys doing? What are you doing? Oh, he almost touched me. I cannot be touched by these things.
Currently, without golden apples, even cutting down trees in the open is a high-risk activity, because if one of those disgusting plagued citizens, I'm gonna find a better word, sneaks up behind me and touches me, I'm dead, alright? So even cutting down trees right now is a high-risk thing to do. But I felt I felt secure enough because I was listening. I felt like a man with the world's biggest ears, just listening for any little sound I could hear, constantly checking around. The trees were still bothering me though, so I used flint and I mixed it with steel, not iron. I got steel by smelting down iron, and now I had a flint and steel, which I then used to try to deal with the floating leaves by lighting several trees on fire and causing a bit of a controlled forest fire here. Hoping to get rid of some of the leaves.
Much better. Much better.
But the next day, I guess the fires had attracted some unwanted attention, which isn't great because I still don't have gold, and therefore a way to cure myself if I was touched by one of these things.
Where are they coming? They better not be coming here. Where are you guys going? Oh, turn around. There's nothing for you here. Look at this guy's face. Bleeding out one side. There's a lot of random... I hope those go away.
After seeing that, I knew that I was going to need to fight my way out of the tower, so I made an iron halberd, right? If you're unfamiliar with some of my other videos, the halberd is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful... And this thing, it's got reach, so I don't need to get close to these disgusting creatures. I can skewer them with them. Cure them. It's perfect, alright? Does a ton of damage too. It's also a two-handed weapon, which means while using it, I cannot use a shield. And therefore, I'll get like 700 comments from people telling me to use a shield. No, why didn't you go ahead and leave a comment saying, wow, I can't believe this man is so brave that he doesn't use a shield. Only a true brave man like this man would not use a shield in the face of such danger. Because shields are for cowards. People who hide behind a wall of steel. But not this man. This man is... What am I saying to him? Just focus on the video. It's so unnecessary. A halberd's a good weapon, right? It was glad to have one of these things. I finally got back to mining, but this time I was just... I was only getting cobblestone near the surface. I didn't want to go too deep yet because... I'm gonna be honest, I was scared, alright? I was the coward hiding behind the iron. I was scared I was gonna get infected and lose everything that I'd done so far and have to start this whole video over again. But, you know, sometimes a man's gotta take a risk or something like that. Anyways, I spent the whole day getting as much cobblestone as I could near the surface. In the morning, while I was out getting more wood, I found another one of those outposts.
Oh. Oh. Whoa.
The good news, there's gold in there. The bad news, it looks like this one has been overrun by plagued citizens. So I gotta be extra careful getting the gold because... Thank you for being... Otherwise it's pointless because I'll just get infected and then have to use the gold that I found. That is not ideal. So I hopped the wall, got in, secured the place, looted it, looked to see what these guys may have to trade with, but in order to trade with them, I need emeralds, so I thought I'd use the oldest trick in the book where I trade sticks to a Fletcher. An idiot who just keeps buying your sticks. But then I made the fletching table, and this man had no interest in becoming a stick buyer. I guess it's because I'm on 1.12, but this just ended up being a huge waste of time. However, I did get the gold though, so when you got gold, you can sigh a breath of relief, you know? Sigh a breath of gold. Yeah, quite good. I got back to the tower and I continued to smelt down my cobblestone. I was going to convert this all into stone bricks. But I want you to take a look in this chest right here, right? I have 14 apples at this point. That is a beautiful amount of apples. Take a look at that. Hey, get it in your brain. Look, Sean has 14 apples. Good. Because soon I won't have 14 apples. I'm going to somehow lose this. And I want to figure out when and where I lost these apples. Because it becomes a huge problem for me. I'm a man with no apples. And as reminders, you need these things to make golden apples. Right? The apples are basically gold in this right now. Okay, so they're currently in that chest right there, right? I'm going to remember that. We'll look through the footage and see what happens to them. Anyways, now that I had a way to cure the plague and torches, I felt very confident in going down deeper into the mine to get more cobblestone and also more gold. So I went back down and I spent the entire day mining. It was very annoying putting out torches and then having to light them with flint, but it was worth it because I found more gold. The next day, I did more of the same. I kept mining and kept getting cobblestone, looking for gold, and by this point also iron and diamonds. But I found something that I wasn't expecting to find.
Cave with axolotls?
There's like lava?
Okay, I have no idea what those things are doing down there. But you're gonna see later on that they become a bit of a problem. And to be quite honest, I suspect that they are responsible for the plague. It wasn't rats. It was these things. It was while mining I found.
Why are there axolotls right there?
After that, which was good. But again, still can't use them. Soon, very soon I'll be able to use them. But right now I couldn't. But to get to them, I had to cross some confusing. I don't know why I wrote confusing. Water and lava.
Whoa! Scared me. Look at this.
I spent the rest of the day mining, and eventually I came up to the surface to sleep. I continued cooking the stone in the furnace, but while I was cooking, I took a moment to look out at where I would eventually build Mustard Manor.
Mustard Manor.
Those floating leaves were really starting to make a man like me go buck nutty, right? Really driving me crazy.
These leaves should go away now. Go. Go.
I installed a mod that was supposed to make leaves, what's it called, evaporate? I don't know, disappear, disintegrate. It was supposed to make the loose leaves go away. But I guess because these are modded trees, oh, they get to stay. You stay with me. Me and my love these floating leaves everywhere. But you know where I can't see floating leaves? Underground mining. So that's exactly where I went. Back into the mines. Back to chopping down wood or stone, whatever.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, okay. But it's not supposed to be a scary monster.
I kept mining, trying to get as much stone as I could, and whatever else I could find. And what I found startled me.
What the hell?
Why is there so many of these things?
I eventually found an underground river, and a man like me, who knows, there might be some monsters in that river, right? I'm not gonna do it, alright? No, I'm done. That joke, it's over. I'm not gonna go fishing in this river. Enough, alright? So I jumped into the river, started looking around, hoping to find something interesting.
This is creepy. Okay. What is going on? What?
Why are there so many axolotls?
What are these things?
What the hell?
What is going on with these things? They're starting to creep me out. They are definitely responsible for the plague. I don't know how, but you just know it, right? You know what they've done. A little further up into the cave, I found even more. They're all just sitting there. They eventually led me to the bottom of a dungeon, and against my better judgment, I went in. I was thinking maybe I could find some golden apples in there. It took me a while, but I found a chest out there. The only problem was that I needed to cross some lava to get to it. But you know what? That did not stop me.
chest right there. I need that. I want no part of whatever's going on over there. I didn't even plan. Why am I here? What am I?
He just got infected.
I got infected? Yep, I got infected. Okay. Look at all that TNT up there. I need that. Why am I down here right now?
Alright, look at that. One touch. I was infected again. Draining another 8 gold. But seeing that TNT, when a man like me sees TNT, I'm a little bit excited. I was also excited to open that chest. And when I did, it had some potions, some enchants, some iron pants, which had protection 4, a speed boost, and something else on it, but I forgot what it was. So then I shifted my focus to that TNT. I towered up close to it, and then I did something incredibly stupid.
There's chests and creepers up there. What have I done? What have I done? What have I done?
Oof, he's...
What was the point of that?
Man.
What was the point of that? Let's just get out of here.
I cut my losses after that and wanted to get out of there. And on my way out, I did some self-reflecting.
I'm still thinking about what I did with that TNT. Like, why did I do that? I guess I thought I could kill the creepers easily. How much gold do I have? Do I not for... Like, what have I done?
It was the next day when I got out of the mines, and the first thing I did was cure my infection. And then I put some stuff into one of the chests, and I cut more trees down and burned some more leaves, and then just went to bed. It was a very boring day. Hey, day 20! Mobs can now see me from much further away, so I guess the plague had spread to their eyes and made them stronger for some reason. I don't know how that makes any sense, but they can see me from much further. So I need to be extra careful now. The area
It's only day 20?
and I could be cutting down a tree, but 60 blocks away, if 15 plagued citizens could start stumbling towards me with one goal and one goal only: make me waste more gold and or kill me. Gotta be very careful. And because of this, tons of them piled outside of my tower. Oh, look at my door. These men wanted inside. Don't know why. There's nothing in here for them, but they wanted in. I guess they wanted some medicine, so I gave them the only medicine that I know that works. A good old halberd to the head. That was stupid. After that was dealt with, I got on my boat and sailed away from the tower. I wanted to see if I could find a village still, and while I did not find one, I found a large abandoned house. So I carefully went inside. A trivia time! In which previous video of mine did I stay in this very same house? And as a bonus, what happened in this house? What dark event? Who was murdered just outside of this house? Answer
always puts you first. Start today at GoDaddy.com.
Or die. What? No, no one's gonna die if they don't relax. Okay, so what am I even doing trivia time? So I was hoping to find some gold in here, but eventually I didn't. I did, however, find some arrows, food, I found some bookshelves. I think there was some raw meat. I don't know. I got a bunch of stuff, right? Got tons of stuff. I left the house and kept following the river. I was still hoping to find a village, but what I found instead was truly shocking.
Whoa, that's a drop.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That wasn't shocking at all. What am I talking about? Regardless, there was 0% chance I was going down there right now. This is something I do later on in the video, right? And what I found down there was truly shocking. When I got back to my tower, I was making flint, minding my own business when...
Oh no.
I realized it was day 20. And it was a plague spread night.
It's an experience. I just can't get hit. Simple as that. Okay. No getting hit. No getting hit.
Out. 2 hours left.
We're getting faster. Okay, still a little lag there. That's like it. Oh my god, there's another port there. Okay, I'm trying to lure something here. First hit this guy. This guy. This guy. And this guy. There's resistance on there, that's good. I don't know, wave just spawn.
He needs to take cover.
No!
Oh.
Oh my. Come on. Oh, that spider almost knocked me into a pit there.
Nothing like a nice cup of plague infection in the morning, especially on day 21. You know what they say? There's nothing like it, ye old pestilence in the morrow. Okay, I spent like 20 minutes trying to get some AI to make regular English converted into medieval English, and that's what it came up with. That was not worth the effort. Despite being infected, I took my sweet time to try and kill all the plagued citizens in the pit that I had made. Rewatching this footage, you know, I had no idea how nice I had it back when the plague wouldn't kill me in like 30 seconds. But it was nice to see this, alright? Later on, that plague, you don't want to screw around with that. I had all the time in the world here. Anyways, when that was finally taken care of, I returned to my tower to cure myself, and Here I may just solve the mystery of the missing apples. I can see that I transferred all 13 to my inventory. For some reason, I should have just taken one out. I made one golden apple, and I'm putting them. Why am I putting them in the crafting table? And then I just walked. I can see them sitting on the ground, right next to.
Oh, he had full inventory.
And then I just leave the tower. What? Why did I do that? I feel like the Breaking Bad meme where Walter is screaming from inside the car. I figured since I now had some tools and decent weapons, I could take a peek in the nearby dungeon. I went in, and I found this iron sword, which had Unbreaking 3 and Mending. That's wonderful combo right there. So I took it and almost got mauled by a farmer zombie. After that I left, I don't have the goal to be doing this sort of thing, or the apples. When I didn't know that at the time, I thought I had all the apples in the world. So I still wanted to find a village, so the following day I set sail again. And this time I went in an entirely different direction, and I ended up at some glacier, so I climbed it, shot some bunnies, gave up, and went home. If I couldn't find a village the old-fashioned way, I would make one. To do this, I made a caravan by combining like 10 chests and a crafting grid, and I can use this to make my own village. I used that caravan to set up a camp the following day, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I have zero clue what I'm doing. I have zero clue how any of this works, but you know what? Oh, I like it. It was good. This place had everything. It had torches, fences, books, wood, and even had a little tent for me to sleep in. In the morning, I figured out that I'll figure out this village stuff later. For now, I need more building supplies and gold for my mansion, so I went mining nearby. This was boring. I was just mining for whatever I could find, and I found a ton of zombies.
That is just
There was more
huge.
money the next day. I was finding some gold, which was good. What was bad was that I was ignoring silver, which at the time I had no idea how valuable it would be later on. Silver was a very, very good resource to get, and here I was just ignoring it. Right now the plague was manageable. If I was infected, I would have enough time to probably get home and craft a golden apple, but I didn't want to be in the habit of leaving golden apples, because later on I would not have enough time to run home and craft a golden apple. The plague would spread through my body far quicker.
There we go. Oh yeah.
After several days of mining, I gathered everything I could and I headed back to the tower. And when I got there, I had finally realized the mistake that I had made.
I thought I had a ton of apples. Why do I only have one now? Where did I lose the other apples?
Oh my god.
It costs 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. So I need 2 more gold. Okay, well, we'll figure that out later.
Now I needed wood, and I'm gonna need a lot of it. So I started the very long process of cutting down tons and tons of trees. And after a good hard days of work, I went back to my tower and continued cooking down my cobblestone. I was but a peasant, cutting down trees, working the land, doing what I could to scavenge what little resources I had. Soon I would build my medieval empire. Oh, day 28, very good day. It was time for more back-breaking work. And literally, my back in real life was killing me. To get an authentic medieval experience, I played this entire thing on a true-to-life medieval chair made of solid wood at a sharp 90-degree angle. No cushion, just straight wood. Perfect for the back and bum. And speaking of chairs, what a perfect time to tell you about this video's sponsor, Ulrich's Back Massageth. Art thou backeth sore? Come down to thy backs stretched. What am I doing with this trip? Enough of this. I was getting tired of cutting down trees and getting cobblestone. I was getting eager to start building this thing, which is still a bit risky because I could be working away on a wall and all of a sudden Jeremith the Fourth, infected with the world's worst big sloppy kiss. Then I'm just what am I talking? I didn't want any plague citizens sneaking up on me, so in order to start building, I needed to build a bit of a perimeter around where I would build. To do that, I made a bunch of railings or fences, or I don't know what they're. I think they're railings. I built a bunch of them, which would keep the plague citizens away from me. I also wanted to set up a farm so that I had some food coming in, so I invested some XP into that as well. And with all of that out of the way, I could finally start building Mustard Manor. Yeah, but there was one little small problem. I suck at building, and I want to get better, so I thought the best way to learn how to build better would be to follow a guide and try to learn from him. So for this build, I'll be following Big Tony MC's guide on how to make a medieval mansion. I got a link to it in the description. It is a absolute beautiful piece of architecture, right? You see this thing and you think, wow, that is something I want to build, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. The very first step was to set up the basic layout of the structure, which was one big L. To do this, I used stone bricks and oak logs. After I got the basic shape done, I went back and removed some stone bricks and replaced them with mossy stone bricks that I had stolen from my tower. I figured this would look a little bit better, and also because that's exactly what the guide says to do. So I didn't figure that he told me to do it. Right? I don't know why I'm trying to say that I figured. What am I saying? The next step was to add more oak logs around the perimeter of this thing to give it some depth and just make it not a flat, boring wall. And I learned something here. I always assumed that what you did on the outside, you would have to do on the inside. So these oak logs would need to be replicated on the inside in their exact same positions, just mirrored. But this layout doesn't allow me to do that cleanly. So I would have never tried to build something in this shape. Which is dumb, because clearly you can build in this shape. Turns out you don't need to put the log on the inside in the same position. I don't know if that makes sense, but I learned something here, right? Which is good to know. Anyways, I got all the logs up, and I lit some torches around where I was working.
Look how many zombies are in there already. Get rid of those all tomorrow.
Next up, I get the door up, right? You need a door. What is a house without a door? It's not a house. It's just a bunch of stuff. That's what I always say, alright? So I got the door set up. I put it right here. I closed it in and placed down a cobblestone block for it. Then I used a spruce door right here. Next up was to bring in the walls, or bring up the walls, make them higher, and put down more doors and some windows. The tutorial called for using black stained glass, which I didn't even know that you could stain glass in Minecraft, right? So I looked up how you do that.
As I'm using blue stained glass.
So I killed an octopus, got the ink sac, used the ink sac on the glass that I got from the beach. It doesn't matter. You know how you get glass, right? I'm not going to explain that. And I got this black stained glass, but when I put it down, yeah, I didn't quite like the look of it. I think because the shaders I'm using, it just didn't look good. It didn't look like glass, so I'm probably going to swap that out later. Maybe make a little change. But it was day 30, and how could I forget what that meant? It meant it was a plague spread night. Nothing interesting happened, though. I just fought them from the safety of my tower. Now that I know the size and layout of the house, I started my farm the next day. I was running out of food, so this farm was pretty crucial for me to get set up and working. But it's just a farm. I don't need to explain that. It's very boring, right? I put down the water, then I added the crops around the water, started growing them, right? This is more interesting. Look at this. Put it at the windows, right? Getting some windows put up around the place. Even though I don't like the black glass at this point, still putting them up. Getting the job done. I put the rest of the windows up. I added some trap doors. They started bringing in the walls into the blocks. I was trying to use a blend of stone bricks, moss, and some, I guess polished stone. I don't know what it's called. Just to give it a little bit more texture.
Look at all these guys just hanging out of my.
I had to kill all of those plague citizens. I mean, cure them, all of them. There was a lot of them. It was starting to stress me out. When things were more calm, though, I resumed work on the manor. Next up was to add some upside-down staircases that would later become a balcony here. Then it was time to start adding battlements.
Yeah, about an hour and 30 left. 2 hours in the stream. We've already built 3 houses.
Lastly, there were
one.
planks that would act as a floor. Then I continued
the very minimum, I want to build one more right here.
Layout with these spruce planks, which I assume would be covered up later, but I had no idea how that was going to happen.
We're going to do this on Wednesday. Okay, so before I do this, Well, I kind of laid out my ground goal. I don't want to do way too much more today. I might do that and take a break. I don't know. It doesn't sound like, it doesn't feel like, it doesn't, feel like it, but building these houses is a little bit repetitive and annoying. But I like them. I like this house. I like these houses. These are way better than the ones I've been building in the other world. Look at this little house. It's cute. So this is where Transway 3 is going to be located. So I might put some power lines along Transway 3. I'm going to put a substation. Alexa, what's that notification? Shipment has arrived. Be right back. I need to get up and get some air as well. Okay, so it's not my other penny book, but I think I know what it is. It's a looks like it could be a my state, my national park quarter book. Let's see what it is. Not that hard to open. Thank you. Okay, yes it is. Okay, so oh, let's see. Okay, never mind. I was like, oh god, no. It doesn't have both mints. Oh my god. That is good. Nice. That's a very good book, dude. See, it has both a Philly in here and a Denver right here. It's got even the years going down. That is the craftsmanship. I mean, it doesn't have the mintage numbers, but who cares? This thing is crafted. This thing is good. But let me guess, it probably has the mintage. I'm just too stupid to know where it is. But it even has... Oh, shoot. I just smacked it on. This thing is way better than I thought it was. So here it is. This is a state quarters. If you don't know, there's actually 56 national park quarters, 6 territories. Now, when you get the mints, there's 112. 112, 56 for each mint. I'm going to go put this in my china cabinet. Okay, so that's where the first book is, and now I'm going to put this where the other, or where it should go. Oh, crap, come on. Sorry, I've just been waiting for this book for a while. I didn't think it would, like, have the amount of slots necessary, but it does, and it's very good. It's nice. It's well crafted. It's good. If you need to have like a National Parks Quarter book, get that one. That one's very nice. I'm gonna take my penny book, slap it over here. I need one more. I need that penny book. The moment I get that penny book, my empty collection area is complete. That's all I'm waiting on in order to like I have all my nickel books, I have all my quarter books, I have all my dime books, even my half-dollar books. And my half-dollar books have a good amount of half-dollars in them. I'm just missing 9 of them. 4 of them are silver. And oh man. Oh my god. Oh crap. It just moved. Oops. There. They're gonna move so much easier, but when I start putting weight in them, they're not moving anywhere. Oh, I wanna cry. I can't wait. I can't wait to film them. Oh, come on. Sarah. Oh, sheesh. Come on, Sierra. Don't leave my fan on after you're done sleeping in my bed. No, that's not Alabama business. The reason she sleeps in my bed is because I don't sleep there, and she actually works night shifts. So don't even think about any Alabama suspicions going on there. Got it? Good. So yeah, my quarter book has arrived. And, Alexa, can you list my shipments? Okay, let me see. I'm sorry, guys, if I just paused out of that episode. I like coin collecting. So I'm going to be collecting all quarters from 38, from all Washington quarters, all Jefferson nickels, all Lincoln cents, all Roosevelt dimes, and all Kennedy half dollars. And yes, if you're gonna ask, yes, I will be collecting wheat pennies. I am not shying away from collecting those bad little boys. I love wheat pennies. I have some on my desk right now. Here's a few. Here's a few Wheaties right here. Can't see them with how bad the camera is. Up there's the face. Yeah, you can kind of see. I have literally 1,700 or 1,600 more wheat pennies. I'm looking at them right now. I just need that one 1959 to 1999 book to arrive, and once it does arrive, I will finally be able to get my collection, like even though the empty collection, completely set up and ready to fill. Excuse me. Let me see. Amazon shipments. I have $250 of dimes plus. I gotta get this solar charger pack for my car, man. That's like 30% off. It's like $300 off. I gotta nab that, dude. I know it's a sale, but like, I need something like that. I have enough money in coins just to like and rejected coins. If I can convince my mom, to order it tonight, and then I'll take the coins in tomorrow. It sucks because I could take them in the Heartland. I will, but they can't. I don't want to annoy them. I'm gonna take a break on the thing. I'm gonna have to eat some of these. Hi, horse. Ugh. It's burped and I can taste the vitamins that they put in my tea. Hello? Yeah. I know. I don't know. I didn't know he was online, but I know he's here. Well, he just got. Yeah, he just got a new game. Dude. Okay, some of the what I would. Is he really? Oof. Man, like a looter. I will be departing here. I may not be available for the morning. I gotta go pick up my shipment. Plus, I might be busy tomorrow morning. Apparently, there's this one solar thing I really want to see. It's on it's like 30% off. It went from like $500 like $250, I think. I want to see if I can get it. I have enough money, but at the cost of something. Labor. May or may not have to take in... Here's the thing. Today might be the only day I might be able to get it. So the thing is, I might have to buy it today and take in probably about 150 pounds of coins tomorrow. Oh my god, I hate that. No, I'm gonna have to take it the freaking stairs. Then I have, in Lowe's, then I have to take it out of the car. No, I have to put it in the car. Take it to the bank. Unload it in Lowe's. Get the money. And pee off. I know, I'm just saying, I'm gonna play. Oh. Okay, you wanna know something I did today? I did something that I think a lot of people like doing. First of all, I didn't really like doing this, but I went to the dentist. And I took the Geiger counter. And I had to get an x-ray today. And oh my god. The moment a Geiger counter is a little thing that detects radiation. Now, when they kicked that x-ray on, I just heard like you know like a sound will play and sometimes there's a phenomenon where like the sound will play but it's like stacked 10 times onto each other. Now that's what that's the sound that Geiger did, but like 10 clicks in one. In the duration of one click as soon as it got turned on. I wish I could have recorded it. But it was, dude, it got like 10 readings within the span of a normal reading. Thorns. I have one more block to finish, but I actually might be doing something pretty interesting. I don't really want to do more houses, but I might actually do something that will help the houses. I might be starting something that will eventually spire on. Yeah, let's see. So it's an FF EcoFlow Power. It's a River 2. Okay. It doesn't sound like much. It's $360, but you might see that much. But it can recharge your phone like 40 times. Refrigerator, it can power a fridge for 3 hours, a blender for an hour, and a rice cooker for 0.4 hours. And now here's where it gets kind of cheesy. It takes only 1 hour to charge, and stack on the fact that it actually. It's called. Not only does it take an hour to recharge, but it has multiple outlets, and you can even purchase solar panels for it. I want to see if I can get a folding solar panel along with it, too. That way, if my car gets stuck, I have an independent source of power. When it's done, my car will have some front armor, hopefully a back hitch with fuel on the back. I will have a power pack. So basically, in my opinion, power is man's best currency. If you have electricity, you can cook, have lights, send signals, and more. We got less than an hour. Beam and mare. Whatever. Plus with food.
Oh, it sounds like an angry politician because he's crying.
Is that Everett? Is that Everett? Oh, is that what I thought? Get your mom, please, 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 please. Ew. Hey, a penny? I finally got my wait, what? Give me a second. Dirt replace air? I'm doing something stupid, I don't realize it, but I'm gonna come back and say, duh. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yep. I didn't have the squiggly. Duh. He's gonna get in trouble. How old is she? Yeah, I'm older than her. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, the baby. You know what? I can't. I hope she. I hope she does that at our house. I'll be like, I'm 18. I'm older than you. So quit arguing. I finally got my national park quarter book today. I'm missing one more book. That's it, and it comes in like 2 weeks. I think, bruh. Why do I hear a phantom? Is that my iPad? I think it is my iPad. Is he gonna get out? Is someone gonna go get him out? Dad? Just tell your mom when you get home. Oh. Okay, you hear my disgusting belch in the background. Not like Colleen vlogs. I saw the Meat Canyon video, if you're gonna ask. No one cares about him. Yes, sir. What? Yeah? I know it's Dad, by the way, or Sierra.
Hmm?
Yep, got it.
Hmm?
You wanna see my neighborhood? I'm on camera. I'm gonna turn the camera off. Give me a second.
You're good.
Let's see.
What? When did you get a microphone like that? I haven't been down here in a long time.
That is because my mic was ass, and I had to replace it.
How much did that thing cost?
Enough. I'll say that.
500.
200.
Okay.
However, the good thing is if that mic gets broken, instead of paying 200 for this stupid thing, I have to pay 40 and then just dislodge the mic and put another one on. But here's my neighborhood. I love my new.
Nice.
I guess glass out. It's a lot better than the old houses I used to make in the other country. But by the way, everything is powered, so all these houses can have their lights shut off. Let me demonstrate. Let's find this house. Boop.
Nice.
And they're all gonna need to connect to this substation over here. So I'm gonna have to.
Nice. I'm gonna lay back down for a little bit.
I will be. Hey, are my shoes down there?
Your shoes?
Are my shoes in that room? No, they're not.
Are you like your slides?
Oh, no, never mind. Is my phone in there?
Yes.
What?
Jesus Christ, what the fuck did you do to your phone, man?
Listen, man. There's been some
It looks
incidents.
like it's been thrown down a flight of stairs.
Well, it looks like me.
Dude, I don't think I've ever broken a phone screen.
Listen, bruh. When this thing drops more than me as a kid, there's gonna be some complications. Hey. Yeah. I know. What are you saying? What, a dirt toilet? Oh my god. The Oh my god. Bruh, you know what? Yeah, I don't care. I spent my time making that path. It's not gonna be obstructed. I built it for a community in that server, so clear it up. You're just... What? Yeah, screw knockback. Yeah, yeah. Did he steal the wood from that chest I had? Folding. Like, I can obviously hear folding. Don't be a griefer. Man, now feel the stick economy. That's called Communist Russia. That's called. Oh shoot! I remember. Communism in Soviet Russia. That's right. He shall be executed for saying it. Watch it. Fire. That is green. He said none on the boo boo in. It's lagging out. Oh, the good wood. Hmm. Can you math? I have to get off way here in a second. Yeah. Wonder if this all looks familiar to you. I am gonna go. Next stream will be tomorrow, I think. I haven't decided to do one, and we're gonna be focusing on completing the rest of this neighborhood, plus fabricating the rest of that little substation. I hope you guys enjoy.